Lynn Blanchard, who holds a Master of Science degree in Rehabilitation Counselor Education from USL and is currently the Executive Director of the Affiliated Blind of Louisiana Training Center in Lafayette, Louisiana. Lynn began what has now become 27 plus years in the field of rehabilitation as a life skills coach and peer counselor with the Southwest Louisiana Independent Living Center, and later became working at the Affiliated Blind of Louisiana's Training Center, first as the residential supervisor and peer counselor, then supervisor of support services, assistant director, and finally executive director. His years of experience have allowed him to not only work one-on-one with persons with disabilities, but also work with other agencies and organizations, develop programs and policies, and testify during legislative sessions to support funding for services for persons who are blind, deaf, and deafblind. And now, without further ado, our Executive Director, Lynn Blanchard.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think the hardest part about doing virtual things is you don't have that immediate crowd response, because it was so much fun at an ABL convention to be able to say, how's everybody doing? And you hear that roar. And then you could press them a little more and say, nah, I know you can do better than that. How's everyone doing? So even though we can't hear you, we can see some of you on the screen. So you can put your hands in the air like you just don't care, or you can clap your hands, all of those things. I want to appreciate everybody who has participated. And at last count, I think we had roughly 70 people at one time on connected during Steve's presentation that he just had. So I want to thank everybody. Also, while we were at lunch break, we were able to talk amongst a few people, and we had a special visitor, I think, calling from Texas, Miss Madeline Sparks, that we got to give shout outs to. And tons of folks also gave birthday wishes to Grandma, Miss Melva Wilson, while we were on break as well, that had stayed online. So I just wanted everybody who may have gotten off to know that that indeed had happened. Whew. I got a training center report for you, and let me tell you, I've spent several weeks trying to put this together. And as you do that, you know, you get to reflect on the year, and what a year we certainly have had. I'm going to read the majority of this, but every once in a while I may stop for a second, you know, just to kind of ad lib. But the majority of this has been written down. I'm also going to say that similar to the bingo report that we gave, although when we get to the numbers part, that's going to be from July 1st, 19 to June 30th, 2020. Overall, when I'm talking to you, giving the generalization, particularly with COVID and hurricanes and things like that, I'm really going to be talking to you about within an 18-month period of time up to now. So you guys can really know we're 6 months past our fiscal year already. So it's really a year and a half of information. Again, when we get to the numbers, that's more specific to that 1 year period of time, which ended June 30th, 2020. All right, well, welcome everyone to the 2020 ABL State Convention, our first virtual state convention. Again, it's not as personal, and I certainly want to tell all of you that I miss seeing your faces and being able to give you a hug, a high five, a handshake, a fist bump, and all of those things that we all are not able to do right now. Even a shoulder nudge would be good right now, or an elbow pop. This organization has been around since 1983. That's 37 years. That's a long time. If anyone would have told those folks back then where we would be today, what would they have said? What would they have thought? You know, we've accomplished a great deal here at this training center, which I have listed in the most recent conventions in Homa last year, as well as at the ABL convention the year before. We listed everything from way back when the training center started. As I speak with you today, we wouldn't have anticipated the year that we've just had. And what a year that has been. Although the first 8 or 9 months of our fiscal year had its usual challenges that go along with running and operating a training center, the last 9 to 10 months have been a whole new world and gives the word stress a whole new meaning. That being said, I want you to know another word that has been more to us than anything during this time, and that's the love that we have. Siobhan calls it love, and I call it soul. And let me tell you, ABL, through all of these challenges, I still believe has love and soul and love. But we are still here, and the love and support that we have received from all of you has certainly softened some of the rough times during this pandemic. I would first like to take a moment of silence for all those we have lost due to the virus and all the families and loved ones it has affected. So if we could just bow our heads for a brief minute. Thank you. In a minute, I will give you my usual breakdown of programs with numbers of clients served and dollars billed. But first, I want to share with you some of the ups and downs that we have endured during this time of the pandemic. Let me say how much I appreciate the board of directors from the training center. We met 6 times this year, with the majority of meetings being either a phone conference or a Zoom conference after March. Our regular meetings, in addition to 2 special meetings, happened, and the board were a great help when having to make decisions concerning staff pay, testing, and currently seeking priority for vaccinations. Linda, Jimmy, George, and Ray, you all are greatly appreciated. We did have to stop taking clients and actually send them home on March 17th, 2020. And we didn't have in-house services for nearly 5 months. This had a huge impact on our income. On April 16th, we were fortunate enough to receive 3 PPP loans, or what's called the Payroll Protection Program, for all 3 entities that we operate, which greatly assisted us with keeping people employed during the initial front end of shutdowns in this virus. These loans are expected to be all forgiven. We received $192,600 for the training center, $10,500 for the state organization, and $102,900 for ABLE, or enterprises, which is the majority of the bingo hall workers in operations. That's a total of $306,000 from those PPP loans. They were greatly needed, and we're very glad that we were able to get them. Our greatest hope right now is, as the Congress passed the new bill recently for a second round, we hope to get a second round of PPP this year. And they are definitely greatly needed, let me tell you, as we get into this report. COVID-19 protocols and procedures had to be written and put into place here at the training center before we could have clients return. Spacing of tables with expansion of classrooms, hand sanitizers mounted in multiple areas, and masking was and still is a must. COVID-19 testing had to be set up as well. The first week of testing with the Office of Public Health, or OPH, took place on August 19th with staff. This occurs weekly now with all staff and clients, and just recently with community SSPs every Wednesday from 3 to 6 p.m. We were able to create several scenarios where grant staff could work remotely from home, particularly the SSP and interpreting services. I want to give a special shout out to Christine and Rhonda and Stacy for keeping that up and running, as well as our other grant programs in Project Cope, who did work while we were internally shut down, which are, of course, Kelly and Devon and Narkisa. Unfortunately, this was more difficult with the hands-on training. However, some tech training was able to be done via phone. Different training departments and the state office uploaded videos early on to keep in touch with folks. Training center staff also stayed in contact with clients who had been sent home due to the shutdown until we were able to reopen. Not only did we want to know and let them know that we were still concerned about them, but we wanted to make sure that their mental health and that their physical health was still okay and going on. So we did have certain people assigned to different consumers during that time period. We stayed in touch. And as you know, the state as well with Siobhan and Claire, in addition to what I just said, they were putting out videos on the front end of all of this that we got great response from, and I think people really enjoyed. Construction work was done on several floors in the training center and a wall in the cafeteria area. New rubber baseboards were placed in main hallways, so paint scuffing from cans will no longer be an issue. All the client rooms were emptied out, stripped, waxed, and thoroughly sanitized and cleaned, especially the bathrooms. All community bathrooms were thoroughly sanitized and cleaned as well. Other large areas of floors were stripped and waxed too. Hurricane Delta did damage to 4 roofs here at the training center. 2 of the roofs that had minor damages already have been fixed, while we're waiting for the full replacement of the roof on the administration building, known as the Lemaire building, and the maintenance building in the back. The managing of the pandemic has been a full-time job on many levels, and I can't express enough the gratitude for those coordinating and monitoring this, as well as the compliance and patience of all the staff and clients that they have had during this time. I want to give a special shout out to my program director, Susan Reed, for all her hard work as our COVID czar. Shout out. We had many dry runs with implementing quarantines with staff that may have been exposed prior to any clients coming in. Since clients have been back, we have had several as well. The most stressful time by far to date was the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks. Those 3.5 weeks were very challenging. We can safely say that anytime someone had a positive result or exposure to someone who was positive for the virus, always came from outside the training center. We never found an occurrence of cross-contamination within the center. So the mitigation procedures that we put in place thus far have worked successfully for us here at the training center. The Office of Public Health, and more recently, Louisiana Commission for the Deaf, have been instrumental in guidance and assistance in managing and getting information out to the different populations of disability groups, as well as our needs in-house. All of our program procedures forms, all of our program procedures and forms were updated. Special shout out to our residential supervisor, Lori Tesh, for all her hard work getting this done. She was also on Susan and my subcommittee to review and make corrections. All the departments in training curriculums were updated. I want to give a thanks to all of the staff. And at this time, like I do every year, I want to read out all of the staff names. You can clap, like I said on screen, we can see you. Beverly LeBlanc, Christine Scott, Debbie Sickles, Devon Spears, Eileen Landry, Fantasia Mitchell, Jackie Broussard, Caitlin Burley, Kay Island, Kelly Huntsberry, Kim Durrell, Lori Tesh, Maria Anus,
Maria.
Mary Plord. Somebody needs to mute. I can hear somebody.
The host mute you.
Please mute yourself.
I am now.
Mary Plord, Nancy Bankston, Narkisa Randolph, Patrick Thibodeau, Phil Tompley, Raven Taylor, Reagan Maggio, Rhonda Payne, Sally Fontenot, Scott Crawford, Shelley Ramsey, Stacy Charles, Stephen DeVille, Stephen Parker, Susan Reed, Teresa Smith, Tony Domang, Tyler Schultz, Yvette Pouchot, Siobhan Woohoo Blanchard, Claire Ami, our bingo managers, Karen Goebel, Deborah Davis, Mary Roy, Janora Thibodeau. I also want to say that, you know, when we first shut down and we did have to go remote for a while, when we were completely out of the training center, I also want to give a special shout out to Reagan, who helped me do most of what we had to do, including Eileen Landry, online or on the phone to do with the PPP loans, as well as Eileen consistently coming into the building when nobody else was to make sure that our payrolls got through. So let's give them a special thanks as well. Woo-hoo. All right. Okay, we're going to get into some of the numbers now, and this is more specific to the actual fiscal year. I wanted to start off with the training center report by saying we were finally able to get an increase in our O&M rates from $40 to $65 an hour, and assessments for that went up accordingly. Our travel remained the same, but at least we got our hourly rate up. That was over 20 some odd years of a fixed rate at 40. So we're very pleased that we finally got that $25 bump. Under the adjustment to blindness program, the training center has provided 10,249 hours of comprehensive in-house residential and day training to 26 different individuals. An additional 19 individuals were seen for assistive technology evaluations and low vision evaluations, which totaled $8,450 in income. 11 individuals were seen for approximately 45.5 hours of O&M training, Braille training, and technology training, which generated approximately $1,810. Thus, $10,260 for all itinerant services. Through our contract with the Lafayette Parish School System, we provided approximately 190 hours and billed approximately $14,734.64, working with 18 children. Scott Crawford, our O&M specialist and low vision specialist, is once again providing this valuable service. This is our 17th year in the Lafayette Parish School System. Scott also made online presentations for the Alaska AER, Portland State University, and Allied Services, which provides services across the southeastern United States. In the last year, the Career Center has completed 9 adaptive skills assessments, 4 adjustment to blindness training, and 5 community-based assessments for employment. The Career Center has also had 7 clients become employed. The Career Center had 3 job readiness clients also. All of these services generated $56,230 in revenue. ABL Employment Services is continuing to operate out of the Career Center to assist clients in finding sustainable employment regardless of disability. There are presently, now this was at the end of June, 18 LRS clients referred to ABL Employment Services for job development and job placement services. The Randolph Shepherd Managers Training Program at ABL had one trainee participate in on-the-job training. We also had briefly, we had a new cafeteria and Randolph Shepherd manager, trainer manager, at the end of the year and the beginning of 2020. After COVID-19's impact, however, LRS, the Randolph Shepherd program particularly, is not recommending sending in any new prospects at this time. And of course, Steve's report that he just gave kind of gives you an idea why. You're also going to see when I get to the end of this report how it has impacted money. They had a 45% decrease in their sales during this time compared to last year. Currently, we are contracting our meals out from the University of Lafayette, Louisiana, and our kitchen is closed. Older Blind Grant, the 2019-2020 LRS Older Blind Grant contract totaled $123,333, which was the same amount as the previous year. This grant continues to allow ABL to assist visually impaired individuals by providing free training that allows them to maintain independence in their home environment. Our goals are to provide home-based visits and group events, perform low vision evaluations, and participate in events that promote our program to potential and underserved individuals. During the 1920 grant year, a total of 370 individuals were served through the Older Blind program, and 289 potential clients were met and provided with information regarding older blind services. During the grant year, 5 Confident Living programs were held by way of conference calls. 14 individuals were served during these programs. They had 78 home-based visits, 103 low vision evals, and 25 new desktop CCTVs and 15 new handheld CCTVs were purchased and distributed. Our Communication Access Service Department, we are in our 10th year of our contract with the Department of Health, Office of Public Health, and the Louisiana Commission for the Deaf. This contract consists of 3 components: interpreting services for the deaf, telecommunication access program, which consists of equipment distribution, and the hearing aid program. Additionally, the support service provider program, or SSP program, is under this wing of services, as it also provides communication access for individuals who are deafblind. These services are collectively worth $292,000 per year. Last year, we spent $5,440 on equipment, $25,450 on hearing aids, and $2,748.75 on interpreters and interpreter training. These outreach services have provided 165 clients with new hearing aids each fiscal year. 55 new consumers received equipment last fiscal year. Affiliated Blinds Outreach Affiliated Blinds outreaches are geared to inform the population we serve, as well as advocate on their behalf. This raises public awareness, as well as the quality of life and level of independence of consumers. Affiliated Blinds outreach efforts also include participating in social service networks in which consumers are cross-referenced for all types of needed services. Currently, ABL has many contracts within the community for interpreting services. These businesses consist of legal, medical, private, and governmental entities. ABL provides sign language and oral interpreters to these entities, and that service has amounted to an additional $33,513.75. In addition to interpreting services, ABL is able to educate and advocate on behalf of the deaf community to emphasize the importance of ADA law compliance and the importance of providing sign language interpreters. We are in our 14th grant year of the SSP program and are currently serving 77 deafblind consumers with approximately 50 SSPs. We are working with subcontractors around the state, including New Horizons, Deaf Action Center North Shore, which has been changed just this year to CC Foundation Group, and Lighthouse of Louisiana, and the Southwest Independent Living Center. In total, we have provided approximately 14,500 hours of SSP services throughout the whole state of Louisiana. Our National Deafblind Equipment Distribution Program, which is our federal grant, was extended this year for $146,514 to continue distributing equipment to the deafblind of Louisiana. During the year, 66 consumers were served with a total of 274 hours of instruction, covering 8,413 miles, including some services in the state of Mississippi. An additional 11 hours of support was provided by interpreters, SSPs, and drivers. This is different from the LCD grant in that we can also serve school-aged children, and we have more flexibility with equipment to include products such as iPads and iTouches. The mission is distance communication access and whatever helps an individual communicate through email, text messages, phone calls, or by accessing the internet. I want to give a shout out to some donations we got toward the end of the year and from some businesses. Directly to the training center. And if I leave anyone out, because we randomly get donations all the time, but these really stood out to me, especially two of these three. And if I miss anybody, I certainly apologize. But we receive funding annually from the Hands Up thrift store, which is called the Hut. And from July 1st, 2019 to now, because they just gave us a check, we've had $2,000 donated from them. A friend of mine that I used to play music with, who is an eye doctor now, it's called the Granger or the Granger Eye Studio, donated $500 to the training center. And Hike Insurances, who's had our insurance for some time, donated $8,500. I am so grateful for those donations. In closing, where do we go from here? We certainly want to continue serving as many individuals who are in need of our services. That being said, I want to personally ask each and every one of you to reach out to anyone you know who may be in need of our services and get them to us, either directly or through LRS. We have had a huge hit on our income because of COVID. And while we are trying to get back to being as full as we were prior to that, where we see the most losses in LRS consumers. We have clients here, but we need more LRS clients. We used to bill approximately $40,000 to $50,000 a month in fee for service. We may be billing roughly 10 to 15 right now. And so you can imagine every month that's somewhere between $30,000 or so a month less income coming in. That adds up, because while we're not getting that money coming in, we're certainly still paying for staff to be able to instruct the clients that we do have. And that includes some LRS clients as well. So we really do need, and I need the community, our state organization, to please, anyone who needs help, get them to LRS and recommend them come and check us out, because we really need these clients. That's what we're here for. That's what this is all about. After the year we have just experienced, the future has elements of uncertainty. Many businesses have gone under due to the consequences of this pandemic. our own reserves have been significantly impacted. And I just want to say something about that. In the last 15 months, that's a year and 3 months, our reserves have gone down 38%. That's a huge chunk of money. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. If all of our accounts receivable were paid today, we would only have a 15% drop in our reserves. All of our services are done through something that you might be familiar with. It's reimbursable. Everything we do, we front all the money for. Right now, we're holding accounts receivable for $300,000. And if we got that paid today, like I said, that would get us to just a 15% drop in our reserves. So I want you all to understand that although we do great work, and I couldn't ask for a better staff to do the things that they do, we have had a huge financial impact. When I was giving the bingo report earlier, our biggest time of the year where we make money is from January to April or May. And those halls were shut down from mid-March, April, May, and June. Well, the ranch got open in June, but we missed that window. And we still are on track in our bingo donations so far to be at least comparable to last year. But where our biggest hit is, again, that I see when I look at the books, is in our LRS fee-for-service. And of course, with Randolph Shepherd not being training as well, that's fee-for-service too. So we really need, if you know anybody in your area, if you know your counselors that work with the blind, please promote and get people, these counselors, to send clients to this training center. Now, that being said, with the COVID protocols, we can't take 20, 30, 40 clients in. We'd love to. So I'm certainly trying my best, and Susan can account. She spends a lot of time on the telephone, on emails, constantly talking to people, talking to doctors, trying to get people in the door. It is a slow process, and LRS does not make it any quicker. So the sooner we can identify people, the sooner those counselors, which the majority of them do a really good job, can get those people in, the better it is for us to be able to continue to provide the services that we so want to and that are so desperately needed, particularly in a time of pandemic. Persons with disabilities, probably more than anyone, have such a major impact beyond even the illness to be able to maneuver and operate in these very uncertain times, even getting working, getting out in the community, et cetera, and so forth. So again, I implore all of you to please take the time to do that. We need your continued support, encouragement, and above all else, prayers. It's been an honor to be a part of this organization and training center for the past 30 plus years. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart.